Hello, my name is Felipe from Professional Programmer. In this channel, I try to help you with subjects that usually are complicated, at least with some posts on the internet, how they teach you, and I try to simplify this. And today, the subject that we're gonna talk is about you can deploy your project to production. We're gonna use Heroku for this, but I'm gonna teach you how that you can use Flask CLI commands. These commands, they will simplify your life. You can create it like a database, you can use these commands to upgrade your database, do some kind of migration, and even more. But not only in production, you can do this in your machine. And it's good because it's a tool that already came inside the Flask framework. So let's get started. This subject actually I wrote first on a post in Medium. I'm gonna let the link here in the description, so you can just go there if you prefer, perhaps just to read. It's a good way of doing. It's the same things that I'm gonna talk here, but there usually when I'm writing, I go more in deep and have a little different tips there. So I guess it's good that you can follow both, perhaps. And to start this, we have a start project. And in the posts, actually, I go through even the creation of the start project because some people, they really don't know about how to do this. And my idea always shows from the beginning to end. So you can just go there and read how to start the project. But if you don't need this, I'm going to let the link in the description. That's what has the start point that you should have. So please grab the description, open this so you can follow along with us. Okay, here we are. So I imagine that you already downloaded the project. So let's get started. So this is the project. There is no such a fancy thing. It's just a basic project because our idea is just what is about the Flask CLI commands and how that you can use this when you deploy to Heroku to help you to create a database or migrate or do anything that you want. So this is the base project that we have. We want to have two roads. That is the main one and like one that's supposed, because we want to create something there and make sure, okay, our database is set up and we can start. And here you have like a config file. This definitely is one of the important things here. It's not the main subject about this, but it's important enough. Like I have other videos, even a post talking about the 5 most important things that you should know before starting. And one of the things is how that you set up your environment. You have a configuration file to set up your environment. I will not dig that much. So here what we have like a production configuration and we have a developer configuration. And the reason for this, like you can see here, like you have a OS environment get database URL. When you deploy it like for a Heroku or any production server, you're gonna need to tell the Flask like, okay, where do I find the path to your database? Actually, these don't need to be like in the same server that you are. Actually, companies maybe most of the time they have more than one place that they put in another machine for security reason. Like if someone break into your server, like for the website itself, he will not have access to the database and vice versa. And here we have like in development like SQLite on a local database. I put it in different ways. Some people they only do like this. Actually, most of the time they do like this. So you always need to set up like in your environment and say, okay, what database I'm using or which one I want to use. Using like environment configurations variables. I talked this in these videos that I mentioned. If you don't know that much, it's a talk. It's not like a teaching how to do. So I think that's important. You're gonna understand the concept for sure, and you'll be able to follow anything that I talk here. But okay, I preferred only for the teaching to see the difference clearly. I will use it like this way. I use like hard-coded way for development, but for production, when we export, definitely gonna need to have this variable exported there. We have a simple configuration for the database. We are using SQL Alchemy. Like when you talk about Flask, basically you always see about SQL Alchemy. And I have even a model right here. This model is just a simple model that when you create some data to insert in our database, you see that this data is actually being set. Only to show that, okay, when we set up, we can test and see that everything is fine. And I have the requirements here. And all these I talk about these that I was mentioned. Okay, so now actually what we do need here is the command itself. But first we need to see if your project is working. One thing that I can tell here, like for instance, to set up our environment, I need to have like an app settings variable, because this will tell, okay, which environment I should look it for. There's different ways of doing this setup, and this is the particular way that I like to do. So let's do this. So first I need to export to Flask which app I'm using, right? Another thing that I need to do, because it's saying here, I need this app settings. So I will export this too. And what I'm doing here, like I'm just basically in shell say, okay, do this command after you do this command. And we can use pipe, but I prefer to use this one for now. And here I will say like config development config. Like I told you, I teach this about these 5 most important things that you should know. I have video and post on Medium. You can look it for. But basically what I'm saying is config, lowercase, development config. This is what I'm saying. Okay, nice. So now I have this part. I can start the project itself. This is a virtual environment. So I did the setup here. So if you go here, I have my virtual environment set to the place where I have this project. You can have your own. Like when you download this folder, I would suggest you to delete and set up your environment. It is just a simple command, like you do like this, -m vm. If you are inside the folder, like if you first delete the bin folder that actually is the virtual environment, just do like this. So we'll just set up a virtual environment inside this machine and have the paths, everything properly set up to the place that it should be. Okay, so we see and we know that this is running. So let's just do like this. Okay, of course, like I just did the exports, I did everything else, but I didn't install the requirements. And that's what we have here. Like I have the export here, so I need to install my requirement. Pip install -r requirement. Okay, so basically this command does, he just go along and see this requirements file that I have, and we will just set up everything for you. So now, okay, now we have here, let's see if this goes now. Yes, nice. So we have like a running server. I already have open here. This localhost 127. I imagine that right now you already know, but basically what this does is points to my local machine, like what we have here. Okay, nice. So we have main page that we can show here. So I just return this because this is not the important thing that we should know to go along. Now the important thing that we gonna do here is have our commands file. So for this, I will create like a new file. You save this as commands.py. Okay, so now we have this file here, and for sure we're gonna need to import this here. One thing that I always follow regarding the pattern that we should set up and how we should use is the factor pattern. This factor pattern, basically what I do is the factor that I construct everything that I need. So like here, the same way that I did here is basically the same way that I'm gonna do here. Of course, we're not gonna be the DB that it needs, but this is gotta do. But to not let you like waiting, that's because I want to show you how to do. I'm gonna just do the code here. Let's go. Okay, so here we are back. So now I have the code here. Remember about that I told you about the factor pattern, how they should instantiate or how I should create this. Okay, so here we are, and here's some things that you're gonna need to even actually add to our project. We need to import this click. This model is a Python model. Basically what this does is how that we're gonna add this to the environment to be able to, so we can use the Flask shell command, not Flask shell, but the context of the Flask. So we can use these commands because Flask, when you instantiate all our app, He's basically does the setup, like, because when you call like app.py, he go there and start set up everything. And one of the things that you're gonna follow is this commands you're gonna add to the context, because all the apps using Flask, they have a context. Basically, it's a box where everything going inside there, so it kind of register the same way that you have in your machine. And this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna register all these commands that we want. So when your application starts, Flask knows about them, and we can use this from our terminal commands. So we just told that actually what happened here as regards to the commands is that we are adding the commands to the Flask itself, but the context of the Flask itself. So just in a very simple way, what is happening is something like this. Imagine that we have our application. So this is our app. And every time that we say to make a command, imagine that we have the terminal. And we say, hey, just go there and run our app. And here you start execute some things, because we told, if you see it in the code. And then when he goes there to our init underscore app, let's see here, he starts initiating receiving, because we pass our app, because before we have the app here that you receive from Flask. We pass our app and we start registering everything. And one of these things that we are registering, we say to the Flask CLI. So the CLI, so don't care about this, because you can see the code itself. So we have CLI and say, hey, go there and please add this, let's say, custom command and register this. So we told the terminal to start our app, and app has like it. Imagine this as my context or my box. So I would say like this. This is my context. That everything is being registered, and when it finish, because we have it here, like you have an end. Of course, here this is hypothetical. After this, because you remember that we start as a terminal, so imagine this as but this was too much. Terminal itself, it's another box. Imagine this as another huge box that you have here. Okay, and so I ended this. So now things are available. We should get back again to our Flask, to our terminal itself. We remember that we had the Flask command. So now everything that I just registered before will be available here. And like we did before, we had like some commands. That's like create db. So this is how it is working. So basically we are registering our application to our environment. So this environment now no more commands from Flask. Flask is like it has a shell that I can use in order to run. And you're gonna see this later when we run in Heroku itself, that we have these commands that we're gonna use, that will be done like in the terminal too. So basically almost the same. So this is the concept of what you're doing here. You're registering commands to be available to be used from the terminal itself. Okay, I want to create the very simple here, like create a database, drop database, and create model table. Remember that we have like a model, and of course this can be any model that you want. But here the things that I'm doing. Okay, so first I import this click, because how did we add this to the Flask command line? And I have my database, because we do need a database here, because our command is basically database commands. And we need to import our model, because that's the way that we're gonna create this. The most important thing here actually is not these comments. Yeah, they are kind of connected, but the important thing that they should have here is how that we initialize. What I'm doing here, I created like an array. So you adjust one by one, and I just loop it through and go app CLI.add command and app.cli command and the commands that I'm passing here. And one thing that's the way that you create the name here is the same is the way that you're gonna see the command in the Flask. So for instance, it create underscore db will be create minus db. I'm gonna show this. But for now, this is just a file that doesn't do that much. I need to add this file here because this is where my application starts. You can see here, like we start the database and we initialize database passing our app. I need to do the same. So basically, I'm going to do this import commands. And here, remember that we have our commands. We need to import the database. So that is important that my database is instantiated before. Actually, it's not that much important because when you're going to run this will be all configured. But I like to put things in an order that I can easily understand what I'm doing. So that's the reason that I like to do this way. So basic commands init app. Nope. Okay, here. That's simple. So basically, I have my commands file, I have my comments out there, and now I'm starting, I'm initializing these comments. So when the Flask application run, you're gonna loop it through, go into here, loop it through all my comments that I declared that I identified before, and we will identify this. But remember that we have this click framework, this library that we don't have yet. But so let's see here how he behaves. Okay, import commands. Why you not find this? Okay, he's not fine here because we have one and more here. So the name is wrong, of course. And he was smart enough to say that it was wrong. Okay, so having this, if you go here, we should be able to start again. So no, let's just do this. Good. Right. Bye. Okay, here we are. Okay, fine. So this is working the way that expected, but it is not the way that we want actually. Of course, when you deploy, this is more or less what's going to happen because Heroku will deploy your project, and then with the configuration that you have to start the application will start. But when this happens, remember this code that we have here that we are initializing our dependencies and using this factor pattern. It's gonna just initialize everything. The command itself, of course, this is not open to the public. You don't see this by going to a specific address, but this is registering these commands in the Flask context. That's so what happened that when you want to use, these are there. So Flask know about. And how did I know that these commands are there? I will cancel this because I cannot run here together. We have the Flask commands. Basically, if you do this, done. You can already see like some commands that Flask already have, not only these specific ones that I told. But here, when we register this command, Flask is smart enough to know, okay, so now we have a new commands here. And you see that have creates database and creates table mod database and so on. And if you come back here, this is the description that we did, the first line. So Flask is smart enough to know, okay, I'm gonna get this in this split by underscore, I'm gonna do like in a minus and create a comments. And what I have as a comment there, he's gonna say, okay, this is the description to this comment. And these already have here, like create DB, create model table, drop table, DB. This is my command. The same way that you see, at least it will be available to you when you deploy this to Heroku, to the Flask Heroku. What we can do here, let's see if it's clean. Okay, this is clean. I can create a database. We can just go here, create DB. My command is just like get the database instance from SQL Alchemy, and we'll create a database for me. Do this, fine, looks like it there. We can see here. Now we have like a database here. Remember that we have a local database that uses SQL Alchemy, and we're gonna have another one that's Postgres deployed in Heroku that I'm gonna show you later. We have a database here. How that we can see something from this? Let's see our application. We are not returning anything here, but we should change this now. So let's return something. So we have this project, this code there. Okay, let's go. Okay, so now we have this. We have like a little bit different. Now we have a model query all. Or this is how you can like query things using SQL Alchemy basically. And if you come back here to our model, we inherit from the database and the model. And we have some base parameters here like ID, data created parameter. This parameter actually, if you can see here, it would be only thing that are gonna be added, like so you can add any string just to test if this is happening. But now we have some imports. We have render templates. This is how Flask works with Jinja to be able to render some specific templates like an HTML, and you can pass some variables there. And that's why I did it in this way. Basically, the idea here is to return this. We return a dictionary, and we be able to send this to our HTML so we can see this being rendered. Now for this, basically I don't have an index.html, and we should have. So let's create this. Okay, so here we are. So now we have the index.html. A very important thing, like this needs to be like inside the templates folder. This can be changed, like why this is there, and like we call this some of the static files. I actually have the files for static, but for templates, this stay inside this folder. Is how Flask understand where he should look for. It's possible to change. I not mentioned that much, but it's important to know about this, and I talk about this on the 5 most important things that you should know to start learning Flask. So like I mentioned before, go there, take a look. What I'm doing here in a very easy way, this is the format that it can be understandable by Flask when it's render. He's gonna look into this and, oh, okay, so this kind of a code, so I can loop it through. And you can note here the items, it's the same name that I'm passing here. So items are gonna loop for each item, and I'm gonna print here the parameters. Remember that we have the parameters in our model. That's what I'm gonna do. We are almost done. In order to show, I don't have anything now in my database right now. So how can I see something? Like in this method that we're gonna add items here, I just return Unify. This is how that you can return, transform like data in a JSON format and print. But this actually doesn't help us that much because I'm not add anything to database. So now let's add the code that we can add items to the database. So let's do it. And here we are. So now we have like the model. So basically what we are going to do is creating a model, passing the parameter as items you see here. Yeah, for now I just specify this only string. And this item is basically the variable that I'm gonna pass into as a parameter to my method to be added to create my model. It's just an object to this. ID, I don't need to specify, we created one. Data created, just because to have more data there is not as important here right now. Okay, so I added to the database session. How SQL Alchemy works, basically you add to the session is still not committed to the database itself, so I can add as many as I want, and as soon as I finish, I should commit this. This to another subject to why this, or to go more in depth, but this is the way that we can work here. And if it's success, everything is committed. I just get my model that is just creating parameter, return a success. So we see just this JSON. So I know that this is working the way that I expected when I added. But one important thing here to remember, this is the method here is like post. So I cannot just go here and call like, let's see, added and in string. Doesn't work because it's not a get. Here what I'm doing, I'm just getting things. It's not how that should work, or that actually how that works. So I need to do like a post. I cannot do this in my browser, but I can do this using like tools. I would say that one of the most famous tools that I always hear that, like, you know, when I mention, everyone knows it's like called Postman. I could use this here, but I'm gonna do it in the easiest way because maybe you don't have this tool, different environment, and use Mac and your Windows. Besides that, this tool is there too, if I'm not wrong. but we're gonna use curl. Curl is just like a tool that is inside your shell. So in as far as I know, at least maybe even in Windows this is there. Not 100% sure, but in Linux environments, this is always there. This I can make requests, get, post, patch, anything else. So let's do this. Okay, so here you are. We have our curl command. So curl -x post. So I specify, hey, what type of request that you want to do. I want to do post. I'm pointing to my local machine is the same as your virtual environment is running. Just make sure that my virtual environment is running. Okay, it's not running. So let's just clean this. Okay, so let's do this first. app.py. Okay, now it's running. Let's open another page here. This is how I use my terminal. So Command D. So I just open another one. Let's do this again. So here will come the word or any strings that we want to send to the post. This will call our endpoint that is named here, add a new item because it's slash add, and this will save and persist in your database. For now, let's get back here. Okay, it's not show anything. This is good because remember, we just changed this. Like we are rendered in index.html, but we don't have anything. The title is right, so everything is working the way the expected looks like. Let's try to add our first string. One limitation I would say that when you're using this core way of doing, if I do this, new string to database, will not work. And the reason for this is because we have space here and he doesn't understand space itself. I need to tell, hey, what is a space? Because even space in a computer, it's like there's a key, like a character that explain that as a space. When you use like Postman, we don't have this problem because he behind the scenes do this for you. But here we need to do. And for this, it's just like %20. This is it's ask code, yeah, with something like this, and so you know that you have like this will be handled as a space. Okay, so we can try. Let's see if this works. Okay, so we receive a feedback from our endpoint called success new string to database. Remember that we did this. We turn success as a key. Nice, it's a key. And we have here model.parameter. It's exactly what we did. And we see here that we receive a post request add and the string that we want to add and status code 200. So this is success. But how can I see this in my database? Are we sure that this is there? We have like a local database here. I have a plugin that I added to my to my VS Code, and I can see my database. I can query my database in an easy way. Let's see where you are. New query. Okay. I can create a new query for this. Now we can actually basically what we can do here is to like the comments that we would do in a normal SQL environment. Phone model. This is what we want. So I just select this, right click, I come here, run query. Here we are. We have our data from our database. So we know that something was inserted. This actually is the way that we did it here. So I add a new string. And now if we come here and do a loading, here we are. We are adding things to our database. So everything is right. Is the way that it should be. We are returning here like everything that we added there. So if you come here and add it again, database. So let's do like this. Again, okay, I'm very good at names. I just can load here, database again. And if, of course, if I run the query here too, I call okay, this run again. We have one more data in the database. Fine. So everything that we have like the comments to add to the database, we see that the database is being created, everything is fine. Is the post we can do there. I will let this because when you go to the production, we don't need to do the command line every time. We can just go there and add it. Now let's see how that you can do this on Heroku, how that we can deploy, and we can move forward to do this in Heroku. Okay, so now we have everything set up, basically the way that you saw so far. You have the whole process, everything that you should have. Uh, I added like it's a basic project. I left the link here, but you can go to the post that I did in Medium, because there as I have like all the steps one by one, and I have the tags for the project itself. So there you can get the exact point where you are now. To move forward, perhaps you just read it, so you didn't want to go through all this project. Now we want to prepare our code to go to production. This is important too, but it's not like the subject for this tutorial that's about like use the command line, but it's important as you are here, so why not you just do this. So one of the things that we need to have when we are deploying to Heroku is a file called proc file. We need to have this inside our project, and we still need to install 2 more dependencies. And the reason for this is because one of the dependencies that we need another web server. Like you cannot use the Flask one. Beside Flask has like a embedding web server, but actually this is not intended for production itself. There is many other features that you have in other web servers that built for this purpose, but this is not the scenario for the Flask one. So what we're gonna use is the unicorn. I'm not digging into much, but it's very simple and a way that you have to do. But you need to do this requirements file, because when Heroku starts reading the files to deploy this, you're gonna look at all dependencies. Unicorn is one of these. In the proc file, we will say that we want to use unicorn and the app that you want Heroku to deploy. And another thing that we need to add now is the library or connect to PostgreSQL database. We are not using this in our machine, but we're gonna use this in the Heroku. So let's do this. So first thing that we need to have, like I have the project here, okay. I do need to have a proc file. So actually it's the name, only the name. So you don't have anything else. Let's see, we have a proc file there. Now we just need to edit this file and add this like web. So we say that basically we have like parameters. So what I want to use, so that's the key that they have, web, and the value for the web, what should be unicorn. That's what we are using. And okay, but which app you want to run? App, because we name our main app as app.py. So any name that you change regarding how that you set up your project, you should change here. Basically, the Flask app is the same one that you are passing here. So let's just do this and save proc file. Okay, so now we have the proc file here. It's more or less that. Now we just need to install 2 more dependencies that we are just mentioned. One is, let's see, pip unicorn. So you can even read here and go to the page for the project to read more. For the beginning, I don't would say that it's important for you to understand that much, because you have so many concepts, so many things that you need to learn and how to build your web server, your application. But after this, I do recommend you to go into and understand why choose one or not choose another one. It's not about, I never say about what is better, but I always say that, okay, this is good for this purpose, or this is good for that purpose, and according to the company. So it's very good for you to have a vision. So let's do like this. Unicorn is one of the that we should install. And another one is the library, or let's say the driver that we are using to connect to our database. This is how that this communication between SQL Alchemy and to the database itself happens. We need to have a driver, a library that will do all these communications between. I'm gonna do this too. Okay, fine. But actually what we did, we just installed this in our machine, in our machine, or maybe in your virtual environment. But we need to export this to the requirement. So we need to do it like this. Okay. Let's make sure that we have this right there. Requirements. They broke. Let's require. Okay. PSP and unicorn. Okay, fine. So then we are ready to go. at least now we are ready to go to Heroku and deploy our application. Let's do this. Okay, so now we have like here's a page for Heroku. I just created a new application that called a Flask CLI tutorial. I will not show how you can create a Heroku application because it's straightforward and Heroku has a documentation for this. I definitely would say for you, please go there and check how that you should create an application. Only like this, only how to create application. Based one button, click and create. Here we have our application. There's nothing here. If I go here to overview, I didn't deploy anything. It's just like creating initial release and so on. The nice thing from Heroku itself that he basically show you, okay, so how that you can do this, how that you can deploy itself. And this is what I'm going to do here. I just start to create everything. I will follow the tutorial the same way that is here. Okay, I already have like Heroku CLI in my machine, and you can create like Heroku login. Okay, so let's get back to my project itself. Okay, did I have any Git here? No, so like it's really empty, so I don't have anything. So this is nice. Let's do like this. Heroku login. Okay, so fine. We have the login. Pretty straightforward. Heroku is smart enough to understand who I am and so on. There's other things that happen here, but that's more than enough. Now that we have this connected, let's go to the next one. CD my product git init. Okay, so let's just follow this tutorial and see how it goes. Okay. Looks like it's empty because of course it's an empty one because I don't have anything here yet. I will add Heroku git remote Flask CLI tutorial. Okay, fine. So what I'm doing here, not me, but Git itself, we are using a little bit like Heroku CLI to do this connection. He will link, okay, my application to my local application. So he understands who we are. And now I'm just gonna follow the same thing that he has here. Okay, come on. Okay, Git is not. Okay, you just added everything. Make it better. I will just follow everything. Nice, so just add everything. Of course, this is not the best practice because, okay, I should not commit many things. I should have the git ignore and so on. And let's go. Okay, as you see now, he's doing, he's deploying. So as we have all the files, all the needs in order to deploy our application, Heroku found the proc file and he's doing everything else. He just go there and do everything, all the setup that needs to be done regarding how to do the deploy. So pretty straightforward, that it's really simple. Okay, here we are. If you see here, actually he's saying that, okay, he's deployed it. Everything is like verify deploy done. Awesome. So we have a deploy. So we get back here to overview. Okay, let's see, just deploy. You see, just right now. Okay, fine. Okay, so you have a deployed application. We should be able to to open the app. Let's see this. Let's see how he behaves. Okay, nice. So what happened is an error, but actually I wanted this to happen because I believe that sometimes, most of the time, I would say that it's good when you see an error, we understand why that error happens, because this will give you more insights how you should do, and even to understand that how the environment itself works. So okay, I will use this command that he gave here, so we can take a look why this have this error. Okay, fine. So he's trying to deploy, have a lot of trace and so on. Okay, let's see. Import model broke. Oh, okay, so here is the mistake. Not the mistake, actually this was by purpose. But you see here, he say, hey, I'm trying to look at the line 10 to app.config from object OS environment app settings. I couldn't find any app settings, so what are you talking about? And of course not. Remember that we had to export those environment keys in order to say, okay, this is the environment, the type of the environment that you should run. That is for us, we are using in our machine for development. But now I'm in production, so I should have this. And how do I do this? So I'm gonna do it like this. App settings. I come back to Flask CLI tutorial. I go to settings. You see this, we review config vars. I just gonna add this var here as a key, because this is what we did, is because it's environment variables. And the value. This was the value that I want. Production config. Remember? Because if you get back to our code here, config, production config. Okay. This is what I want. Okay, I added this. Let's try to run again and see what happened. Okay, so now we have a 500 internal server error. This is good. Like if you see, we are evolving and we understand the problems, what it happened, and this gives a nice vision for you. I will just clean this. Let's start exit, because actually we are logging to Heroku and see all the logs. Like we are kind of connected. Let's see this. Let's see the last. Okay. So he's trying to check for the database and driver name, everything else, model query. Okay. Basically, what he's saying here that, hey, which database? I don't see any database. I don't understand which database you're talking about, because for local, we did had like one for that was SQLite, but here you want to use Postgres. But okay, where I find this Postgres? I cannot find anything. So I don't know what you're talking about. It's what we need to have here. We need to set up a Postgres. Okay, so let's go there. Getting back here, it's pretty simple. We have resource, and this resource, like we can add like add-ons. So let's see, find more add-ons here. I will look it for Postgres. Heroku Postgres, this is the one that I want, so install Heroku Postgres. Okay, is Flask CLI tutorial. You're gonna install this. Provision add-on. That's the way that they call. They will provision here. Okay, so here actually what we have now, we have two ways of doing one thing. Let's tell the path for the database that you want to use. Remember that when we are in our file, let's see here, they can find here. Okay, so here say SQL Alchemy database URI, and the path that I want to use. Here in this scenario it was local, but here I'm looking for the database URL. Is the environment variable the same one that have app settings? So we need to get the path to where we should look for the PostgreSQL. We can go here to the database itself and look it for, but fortunately I will not open it right now because I guess it's more advanced. But I don't think that needed this. But we can go to the settings, review config var, and you see here, actually we have like the database URL, and I have the Postgres login and password. For me, not important, because when I deploy this video, this will not be there. I will just delete this. But you see that he created the same pattern that we created here. It's not because he read from here actually, but it's like it's a pattern. It's a common name that usually everyone use for this. I can just change this for any name that I want. I just need to remember that I need to come back here and change this for the name that I want. Okay, fine. So we have the database now. Let's try to run it again and let's see what happened. Okay, so we try to run again and say, hey, error. What does this happen here? And here we say, okay, line 2 from model SQL, and that's okay, I see. So we are trying to fetch something that actually it's not there. So I think that now is the moment that we are looking for. Let's create our database, because this is not there. We never created this. Of course, beside the code, the way that it's being done here, they could improve to avoid this kind of error, because of course I should not throw error in my application if my table is not there. I should handle this properly, but this is not the subject here. Now is the moment that we are looking for. So let's get back to our Heroku database. I will show two ways of doing this. First is from the web page itself, and the other one is that we can do here from our terminal. I would say that usually you use more from this one, the Heroku CLI. I would say that it's very important for you to get used to use this format. Most of the things that you do when you're programming web applications, you need to have understand about how to use the terminal and then some commands. Like, of course, not everything, but you should have an understanding about this. Okay, first here we get here to the page and go to run console. So we have more run console. Imagine this is the same as your machine. Actually, this is a server that is a machine itself, and you have like the access to some commands or to some environments. And here we have like the Heroku run, and he's gonna do other commands. Remember that in locally we did like what? Flask. And we want to do what? Create DB. Just do the same way that you did in your local machine, you can do here. Let's run. Okay, so process exited. So this means that the command that was done there. Okay, we get back here and you see that we have our logs because we just did the commands to see the logs from Heroku, and we are seeing that okay, start process with command flask db by the user, state changes, so everything is completed. So the command was done. How that we can try to see now? Let's try to run again. Well, we don't see anything anymore, so we don't see any error. This is good. So it means that okay, we bypass this. We don't have any problem anymore. We saw that we have a request and even like the header from the request itself. Okay, nice. And okay, so we are returning things. Now I will teach you the second way of doing the same command, because I can do the same. But now in the terminal command. So first I need to end this session, so I don't want to do this anymore. So remember the same way that we saw in when I want to run console from the Heroku application that we had here. So we just went here, run console. Okay, so now we can run this from the terminal command, because in the beginning we did like a login. So Heroku created that connection between, so he knows that this particular code is about that Flask CLI application that I have here, and here he knows about this. So Heroku run the same way that you saw that in the page, Flask, because it is the shell commands from Flask that I want to do. I'm gonna look into my source code to see everything that we have. So what about drop db? Okay, so why not drop db? I do the command here. You're gonna process, because you're doing this in the Heroku web servers right now. Let's see how it goes. Done. So we have this. So we should get back to our application, run again, and we have error, because of course if we see the log tail there, most probably this will not be there. Let's see. Yep, the same error. We don't have this anymore. We just can get back, create a DB. Let's wait and see how it goes. Refresh, done. We are back. Awesome. So we have everything work. So we see that our commands that we created, they are there. We can customize, we can create more commands. We have other ones, but it can be any kind of commands. Imagine that you want to clean something, or you want to do like a request test that you don't want to expose. Like, hey, you know what? I want to have like in the when I want to test some things here, I don't want to let like create a roles, and because it's kind of open and we don't have the login anything. But even if you had like it, I guess it's not the way that it's supposed to be. You could try to use the comments. So it's a nice way of doing this. We can try and see, okay, let's see if you insert something on database connect and everything works fine. Remember that we have the Postgres command that we want to do a post request, because our application to add something to the database, we are listen to the ad as a post. So I have the comment here. I added many core comments that you're gonna have one after another one, so we can see if you have something actually being added there. It's the same core that I used before, but just one after the other. Okay, we have here Flask CLI, Heroku. Let's do the core to our application. Fine, we are receiving the response back, so it looks like this is there. And if you get back here we are, and if you see our logs, we see the request that to add everything there. We see that we have all the data that we want inserted. So all these comments that we created to help us, it's actually being really helpful. We have everything here. So this is it regarding this tutorial. I hope that you find this useful. Like I would say that the opportunities or the possibilities or which commands you want, like it's infinite. Like you can do many comments that you want to help you or to create database or to do migrations and so on so on. When you go to the internet, you're looking for migration and so on, actually it's other tools that you need to be as a support for you. I'm not digging into, but it's nice to know. Now you know how to do create application, you deploy, you can use the custom commands for local machine or even to deploy to Heroku. You know how to add the database in a Postgres, and you see how simple it is. Use the environment variable, so definitely it's really helpful. And this is it. I really hope that you like it. I will ask you, if you like this video, please give a like to the video, subscribe. It actually is one of the most important thing, because this will motivate me and help others. The same question that I had before, and I created this video, even the post, to help you. For sure, this can reach more people, so they can find out if this is important to them. So I really would appreciate if you subscribe to my channel, and if you could share this as much as you can, because more people could watch and have this answer. See you in the next video. Bye.